I was truly blessed to be with my young bride Julia. Our days together flew by. Sometimes I even lost track of time and forgot what day of the week it was. However, that all changed after attending a soccer game. That event left a deep scar in my soul. Let me tell you what happened. At one of the matches, my wife left me and went off with a soccer player. It seemed unbelievable that our engagement could mean so little to her. She had abandoned our plans together for a man who had unleashed an avalanche of empty promises on her. I used to be a big soccer fan, but now I've lost interest. She chose this soccer player, quite famous in our city, although he is not a world star. I tried to avoid discussing this situation publicly to avoid legal problems, despite the strong emotions. In 2022, I took Julia to a soccer game, hoping to spend time together. How could I have known this would be the beginning of the end of our engagement? Sitting in the front row, Julia couldn't hide her admiration for the soccer player. I tried to draw her attention to my concern, making it clear that I expected her to give me the respect I deserved in our relationship. Despite my complaints and warnings, Julia continued to flirt with the soccer player in front of me. Frustrated, I asked her to leave, but she refused and the soccer player was even replaced for not being serious about the game. Furious, I left the game reflecting on how the soccer game was the catalyst to end our engagement. This journey was filled with painful memories. Bob, a 28-year-old business administrator, thought of revenge to remind them of the consequences of their actions, even if there would be consequences for myself. The story began at the stadium. Julia came up to me, got in the car and apologized, promising she would not repeat her actions again. Initially, I wasn't ready to listen to her, but she convinced me that it was just a moment of life's fun. After her apology, I dismissed the thought of meeting the soccer player as a minor incident. Little did I know then that this soccer player would be the deciding factor in breaking my engagement. Julia deserves special mention for secretly keeping in touch with the soccer player. I was in the dark about their communication and the affair going on behind my back. Life has taught me to see more in people than may appear at first glance. Behind every mask, there can be a repulsive personality and despicable character. 2 weeks before Julia left with her soccer player lover, her behavior became restless and annoying. Although I suspected an affair because of her behavior, I could never believe that she would suddenly leave. When discussing her suspicious behavior, she brushed off my concerns, claiming that everything was fine. When I was confronted with the truth, I not only realized she was cheating, but I realized that the woman to whom I was engaged had intentions I had never guessed. Julia's growing distance confirmed her infidelity. I tried to recoup the money I had spent on her before she left. On Friday morning, just before she left, Julia beat me to it by making a phone call. She began the conversation I expected would be about our relationship. However, she suddenly expressed her desire to break off our engagement. This was an unexpected twist that left me struggling with the sudden end of our relationship. Julia said, "I want to end our relationship." Those words are deeply imprinted in my memory. Ironically, I was replaying the recorded conversation on my phone. I had planned to control the discussion, but it turned out that I had been tricked and confused. I asked her about our year-long engagement and future plans. Julia seemed to make it up as she went along and indifferently stated that it was over, showing no desire for reconciliation. I offered to meet and talk in the morning, but she ignored me and left without answering. I couldn't recognize the signs of her evil intentions, or perhaps I just saw the best in people. She disappeared with the soccer player without bothering to inform me or discuss her departure. On Saturday morning, after waking up to an empty house, I realized she had taken all of her belongings, including a wedding ring that belonged to my grandmother. This family heirloom, passed down from generation to generation, has both sentimental and material value. Julia took it without hesitation. Angry and resentful, I decided to investigate and discovered photos of Julia with a soccer player that confirmed my suspicions of her infidelity. The betrayal hit me hard, and I vowed revenge in a calculated way. The soccer player, bereft of conscience, and Julia, a gold digger in search of quick riches, both played a part in this dramatic turn of events. I am meticulously gathering information before embarking on my revenge. An update will follow soon, and I look forward to your comments. I'm sure Julia's revenge will be a significant event in my life. She left me for someone more wealthy. My revenge plan targets both Julia and the soccer player. I am determined to expose their actions and keep you posted on any updates. I am determined to get revenge on Julia and the soccer player for hurting me. With the help of a friend, I found out that they are now living together, going on secret dates and attending soccer matches. Julia works for a strict company. I had Julia's passwords and logged into her work group. I sent text messages accusing her of inappropriate behavior with her boss. 2 days later, I was informed that she had been fired. I was glad my plan had worked. It was only the first step. I wanted both Julia and the soccer player to face the consequences. My next goal was to evict them from the apartment, despite the hardship, since it was a residential neighborhood where I lived. I decided to pursue counseling. I was aware that proving a threat to the safety of the tenants from Julia and the soccer player was crucial to achieving this goal. I spent a few days strategizing with the experts. It took time, but a plan was in place. However, execution required patience. I was informed that it could take up to 2 weeks for any progress to be made. Now I need to focus on other tasks. This concludes today's update as I have a lot of work ahead of me. I will keep you all updated in the second update. I will admit that revenge has been more difficult than I expected. I will share more details in the next update as the situation develops. Feel free to leave your comments and I will try to respond to each one soon. We'll meet again soon. Ending this chapter of my life seemed easy when I first started thinking about it. However, executing my revenge plan has proven to be more difficult than I anticipated. It's funny how our imagination sometimes tricks us, making things seem easier than they really are. Before I get into the details of the upgrade, I want to express my gratitude. Despite the differing opinions on my decision to retaliate, I appreciate each and every one of them and am not offended by differences of opinion. Different people have different methods of conflict resolution, and my approach may seem more complex and deliberate given my situation. Please be patient and kind as I go through this phase. I assure you that I do not intend to cause physical harm. I need it in order to move forward. It is my way of coping with the situation. Let me update you on the last few weeks. Although I promised earlier information, there have been unforeseen problems along the way. It's safe to say that seeking revenge has proven to be a difficult journey. There were moments when I almost gave up, but through the support of friends and decisions made with hired professionals, we found a way forward. The details of the plan are complex and I hadn't fully figured it out, but I was assured that all actions would be legal and would not cause physical harm. After 2 weeks of organized disturbance in the apartment, neighbors complained about them. The hired men made Julia and the soccer player behave in unusual ways, possibly associated with a certain club. The result was an extreme violation of the rules that led to their eviction due to security concerns. Upon learning of their departure, I experienced a sense of accomplishment and celebrated with a glass of whiskey. The effort had paid off and I was finally able to move on. The purpose of evicting them from their apartment was not to make them homeless. Given the soccer player's wealth, I knew he could easily secure a stay in a luxury hotel. However, my goal was to shake their confidence and make them question the stability of their relationship. I also aimed to tarnish the footballer's reputation by provoking rumors among the neighbors. This led to discussions that reached a wider audience. My calculations proved accurate as people began to discuss the situation and the soccer player missed one of the games, which I assumed would upset Julia. I realized that my actions could have unintended consequences. Not wanting to risk serious harm, I took the initiative to spread the rumors myself. I limited myself to the local level to avoid global misunderstandings and began spreading the rumors to his teammates, the crowd, and even the coaches without revealing details. These rumors prompted the coach to question him about Julia's influence before any accusations of cruelty would arise. I want to emphasize the significant contributions I made in Julia's life even before we were engaged. I supported her and her family by paying the bills for her sister's medical problems. She lived with me rent-free for a significant amount of time. The pain I feel stems from the realization that I deserved better treatment. The decision to seek revenge is based on the recognition that I deserve more than what Julia gave me. Going back to the main issue, I found that the soccer player faced problems with the team because of his connection with Julia. The future of soccer players and teams depends a lot on public opinion and fan support. Any negative reputation can affect ticket sales and popularity. Rumors that the soccer player was being evicted due to security concerns added drama and tension to Julia and the soccer player's relationship. This development was to my liking as I intended to publicize their relationship and subsequently embarrass them both in the next phase of my plan, which involved publicly humiliating Julia and indirectly affecting the footballer. I executed part of my plan by publicly showing affection for Julia in the stadium to make the soccer player uncomfortable. Despite witnessing this, he chose to continue his actions. My goal is to teach Julia a lesson about the consequences of refusing someone else's hard work and to inform the soccer player of the consequences of his choice. I have a strong belief that Julia took a ring that has sentimental value to me when she abruptly ended our relationship. She provided no explanation or reason despite her infidelity. Revenge has brought me great pleasure, and I am looking forward to the final phase of my revenge plan. Although I have enjoyed the process, I cannot deny that seeking revenge can make you lose a part of yourself, regardless of the duration. Julia and her soccer player partner are about to face the consequences. I am ready to end this situation so I can move on. I am tired of dwelling on Julia and planning my next steps to speed up this process. This is my main goal. I have already made an effort to respond to the previous comments. Seeking revenge is not easy, so I appreciate your patience. Thank you all for your time and attention to the third update. I appreciate the support and humor from readers. While a situation can potentially seem funny to an outsider, it's not so funny when experienced personally. I have found that humor is a mechanism to mask anger and pain. It marks the final renewal and celebration of the results achieved through revenge schemes. The initial attempt to tarnish Julia's reputation was made by me. Almost caught me during the process with the help of friends who sympathized with my situation. We restructured the plan despite imperfect execution. I am happy with the outcome as it was better than it could have been if the situation had gone to the worst-case scenario. With this update, my story concludes and I am ready to move on after the final stage. The soccer player and Julia were facing relationship problems, but I refrained from asking about the details to avoid suspicion. I secretly gathered information from sources close to them and focused on my revenge plan. After days and weeks of strategizing, I managed to obtain photographs and discreetly place them in their common room. These photos turned out to be significant. As soon as the soccer player saw Julia with his teammate, he got into a fierce fight, believing he had been betrayed. This prompted a sting and an investigation that prolonged the tension between the teammates. As a result, the player was suspended from playing and practicing for 5 games. The coach, trying to deal with the negative energy, tried to motivate him. As expected, it was satisfying. The soccer player, returning to the hotel room in a rage, confronted Julia. Anticipating this, I booked a room in the same hotel to witness the events in person while remaining inconspicuous due to hotel security. I positioned myself in the lobby. 30 minutes later, Julia, visibly upset and carrying a gym bag, ran into the lobby, indicating a breakup. Seizing the opportunity, I approached Julia. She was shocked. Without letting her fully react, I took her hand and removed her wedding ring. Relieved, I inspected it for damage. The ring remained unharmed. She had not interfered with its condition. I pondered the possibility of a lawsuit if it had been altered. Julia pointed at me, accusing me of making their lives miserable just because of her cheating. Hearing her confession of cheating made me surprisingly happy. I smiled and told her that she deserved everything that had happened. I no longer had any reason to stay in the hotel as my revenge was successfully completed. I ensured that Julia lost her job and broke up with the soccer player she left me for. The soccer player faced the consequences, losing his eligibility to play in 5 games and ruining his reputation in our town. In my opinion, I accomplished this task perfectly. I am closing this chapter of my life. Thank you all for your comments and support. Goodbye. What do you think of the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Tell me what you would do if you were in a similar situation. I think I did the right thing, even under the influence of strong emotions. What do you think about it?